do not get another tattoo until you watch this video. You're welcome.
Welcome to More Than Home. Today we're super excited because we have a very cool guest, Michael Spades. He is a nationally featured tattoo artist with 18 years of professional experience. He has a private studio here in DFW that books by appointment only, and he is the preferred tattoo artist of several professional athletes. Welcome, Michael Spades, to the show. Oh,
thank you.
P.S. He's our brother-in-law.
That's true. But I'm not biased because he's awesome.
No, he's awesome.
No, I actually want to jump into that because the thing is, whenever family does something, it's scary because if they're not good at said something, then you want to refer them because they're family. But you have made it so easy, thank you, because you're freaking awesome at tattooing. It's amazing. So thank you for that. I have several friends and former clients and all of that can speak to that. So
yeah, true. You have to tattoo for your friends. Yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. So real quick, wanted to ask, at what point does somebody who knows they can draw or paint or whatever it is realize that, oh yeah, I could be a tattoo artist? Like what's that connection? Because skin as a canvas is way different.
Well, for me, I never wanted to be a tattoo artist when I started. It was scary because there's no eraser.
Yeah.
If you're painting something or drawing something, if you don't like it, you just whitewash it or throw it away and it's done.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to skin, obviously, there's no going back. So I was pressured into it a little bit, and my first tattoo I did was to prove a point that I couldn't tattoo. And it ended up turning out really well, and I thought, well, if I could do this with zero training, what would happen if I had a little experience or I got into this or had kind of pursued it. So I dabbled with it a little bit, and I kind of went through the process of trying to get the apprenticeship and going through the whole steps, and I did have quite a few doors slammed in my face, and me being the stubborn person, I just decided I would jump in with both feet, open up my own shop, and the rest is history.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very scary.
Yeah. Very scary. I can imagine.
So you jumped in, had your own shop before you ever really apprenticed much?
When I came to Dallas, I looked at a few shops, and the problem was that, the amount of money and the amount of time that they required of me, I couldn't do. I had a full-time job. There was no way I could do what they wanted me to do and give them $15,000 and go through all these things.
These are the shop owners.
These are shop owners. Okay. And I understand that's the process. And what it does is it weeds out people that you don't have the guts or, they're not going to have the stamina to do this. You're giving somebody literally the keys to $100,000 a year job or more if they do things well, and that's a big step. So for me to give that to you, you have to earn it.
Yeah,
and I understand that. But at that time in my life, I just didn't have the ability. I was trying to pay bills. I was trying to keep a roof over my head, and I couldn't do those things. And so I started going to school, going to college for physical therapy, and I had an ability to open up a shop. This guy had a custom motorcycle shop. He said it'd be cool if attached a tattoo shop to it. I thought, why not? We thought our client base would kind of be the same, and so. It was my foot in the door, and I took it.
That's awesome.
And it was extremely scary. But I was going to school full time and doing the shop full time. And what happened was my grades started to slip because I'd gotten so busy. So I had to make a choice: do I stay in school or do I continue to tattoo?
And you're early 20s at this point, or what?
So at that point, I was 28.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a crazy point in my life. But I mean, I was going to go into the medical field, and I had planned on doing that long term or this. So this just kind of happened to come up. And I took it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So go ahead.
Well, I want to look at the work.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
because I want to talk about different styles.
So these I'm not lying.
Actually, tattoos that Michael has done. This one's awesome. Can you speak to style and how much time?
Well, so this took me probably 6 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And the guys, so when he came to me, he wanted to do this Viking piece, and so we're trying to incorporate some of the animals that Vikings had in their life, and the wolf was one of the very important animals they had. So we kind of took a few pieces and mushed them together. I'm going to work on this guy actually Friday, and we're going to try to finish up his back. So we're going to add some Viking ships and a few more gods and just some background and some crazy things to that. But another one. This is a girl who wanted to represent wolf as strength.
Yep.
So for her, this was very important. So I picked off a photograph off the internet, which is what most people do, inside of the arm.
Yeah.
So she has roses that go down the outside of her arm, and now the wolf is on the inside of her arm. And
Is that a certain style? Like,
so I think this is
different
more
categories?
illustrative than realism. So my thing with me is that there are some amazing realistic artists out there that,
Yeah.
I mean, it blows my mind what they're doing with skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm nowhere near that caliber. So I'm not going to put myself in that same category as, oh, I'm a realistic artist. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I do illustrative at best. And I try real hard to make it look, real. But
Yeah.
I've seen guys that do things that you want to go, oh my God, is that really
person?
real?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
So
Nice.
there are some phenomenal people.
This is
I
one of my
love this
favorites that you've
one.
ever done.
This is a friend of ours.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's
it
a
is.
musician here in Dallas. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do all the things that represented Dallas to him. And so
Oh, it's so cool.
the mobile horse was definitely one of them. The skyline, the Union Tower, the little robot was pretty cool. That's actually down in Deep Ellum.
Yeah.
And that was a fun piece to do, man.
That's
He's a great guy.
super cool piece.
How long did that one take? Because it was pieces, right?
I think altogether we've probably got 20 hours in his arm. It goes around the inside of his arm and the
Yeah.
back. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a really big piece.
That's one of the coolest.
But you
touches.
were saying the detail that is on that red, like you were like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, I'll never want to do neon again, ever.
That was incredible. though.
That was
It looks
extreme.
so good.
When you put the stencil on, it's like there were so many lines that I had to constantly go back to look, see which line I was
You're like,
working
wait,
on.
what did I agree to?
Oh, yeah. It was a nightmare. And I told him when I got done, I said, I'll never do this again. I said, I don't think I charged you enough for this.
Yeah.
But we're just going to let it go
Yeah,
this time.
yeah.
But yeah, I'll never do another one. So
That's
you don't have
awesome.
to worry
To show
about
it
it being
off, so
reproduced.
that's-
I promise.
Okay, let's
Wow.
keep going. All right.
Oh, this one's cool. Tell the story about this one.
So this lady came into the shop. This is when I was in Florida working last year, and so her idea was a little weird. And so a lot of people want to put a lot of things into a small area, and she wanted me to write inside of a anchor and do all these little neat things and carve this and carve that. And ultimately, what she wanted was a tattoo to represent her love of Florida and the beach. So I wished I had the initial sketch of this. I took a Sharpie marker and I kind of sketched that thing on the back of her calf, and then had to convince her that the scribble that was on her leg was going to turn out to be good.
Yeah.
It's very
And
difficult
she already
sometimes.
obviously had some stuff.
She had the little
below
tribal thing on the bottom of her leg, and so we just
Yeah.
kind of added on to it, and that was probably about a 2.5 hour tattoo.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
How did you do that in 2.5 hours? Oh yeah, there's
Nice.
Sean.
Another buddy
This
of
is Sean,
ours.
this is another friend of ours, yeah. He came to me with this idea, I don't know how long ago, and he was
like
very
his
adamant about
family
what he wanted.
crap. Yeah.
So we tried
Yes.
very hard to give him what he wanted. The heel picture
to
just looks
me,
really cool.
That one looks like
Yeah.
I want to be like,
You wanna
is your
touch it?
skin really open? Like it looks.
Yeah, this
real
one looks
to
even
me.
better in person, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Totally.
It
yeah.
looks
Sometimes
really good.
photographs just don't do it well, and I don't use filters or any kind of lighting
Yeah.
tricks. I just, I do the best I can with the phone I have, and
Yeah.
to me, I feel like that almost cheapens it a little bit when you start to try to use a lot of filters, or you're using,
Sure.
Photoshop
Yeah.
to touch up your things. Look, the realism is that when you see this out in public, you want to be able to go, oh my God, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Where did
Yeah.
that come
Yes.
from? I want the tattoo to look better than my photograph,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not the other way around.
Right.
you
It's
know?
like
Yeah.
in real estate when we do photos of a house and they
Right.
turn out way bigger looking. I
Oh,
always feel so
yes.
bad posting.
Yeah.
I was like, it's pretty
The
good.
roof's not that big.
Yeah.
It looks great,
Yeah.
Realtor
Yeah.
problems.
So, and you also do cover-ups, or actually,
Oh, yeah.
let's talk about watercolor first,
That
'cause
one's
that's
cool.
incredible.
So watercolor, what I learned when this got popular, people were trying to figure out the best way to do it. And so for me, I felt that, with color, you have to make color saturated. If you don't make color saturated, it falls apart and gets really weird and kind of splotchy, and then it looks like crap when it heals. So every time that there's a step down or step up in color, that has to be a separate color of ink. And you can't dilute it. Like with black, you can dilute the ink and you can make it go from jet black to skin, basically.
Right.
You can do all the gray tones in between. With color, if you water down your color ink, it doesn't come out the same. It doesn't saturate. It looks awful.
So that's the same amount of color, but just different colors to make
Right.
it look.
And the problem with a lot of this is that you really, you have to punch that stuff in. And so you have to take care of it when it gets done, because you've done a lot of damage to the skin just because you've gone over the surface so many times.
yeah.
So it's a pain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this one.
This was one of the first portraits I ever did. And I love this picture because of the high contrast and,
Yeah, that's like the wrinkles in his head. Like how I don't even.
I learned a lot on this tattoo. So while I was doing this tattoo, I learned a lot about what we see in that photograph. And when you go to try to tattoo it, if you were to try to tattoo every one of those lines, you're going to end up with a giant mess. You're going to end up with a grid pattern on this guy's face trying to make the wrinkles.
Yeah.
And I realized that really quick, and I was like, okay, back up on that, and you have to kind of do suggestive detail at that point. You can't literally do line for line for line with a tattoo machine. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I've gotten better on my portraits since then, but that was a huge learning experience for me. And
That's
That's
good
cool.
to see.
That's
And then
crazy.
that's
so this is
I
like
love
line
that.
work. So this has become pretty popular. It's a lot of cross hatching and just it's all lines, no shading.
Really?
But again, it like I said, you kind of have to go with the fads, and tattooing has come to a point where anything is possible. And so now I feel the next thing with tattooing is how many styles can I put into one piece?
Right.
Can we do color work and black and gray and geometric and watercolor? I mean, how much can we do? And that's showing literally how skilled that person is, because every one of those styles takes a different level of skill. Some are easier than others, but in order to do them all well, you have to be a very good artist.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a lot of guys that are doing crazy color work, but then they're adding in this other little element of, black and gray or traditional or geometric or whatever, and it's making them stand out. It's giving that piece a truly original, look.
That's cool.
And like I said, now that we've realized that we can pretty much do anything on skin, I mean, there is no limit. There's just, people are getting crazier and crazier and crazier with their designs. And I'm happy. I mean, because it just seems like, when's it going to stop? Who knows?
Right. Do you feel like because it's sort of like this evolving art that there's a lot of cover-up stuff going on?
So there is. And I've got my walking giant cover-up myself. We started with, I started with a plan. I said, this is what I want. And, fast forward 20 years and I go, I don't want this anymore. This isn't cool anymore. So we try to cover it up. Or someone gets them into tattooing and they don't really know what's available out there, or they're going to, my budget says I can get this, so I want to get tattooed. And then they realize that was probably a horrible mistake. Or they've outgrown what they got. Tribal is a great example of that. I mean, so many guys, when I first started tattooing, tribal was the thing. Now it is not the thing, but it's so difficult to try to cover that up. But still, I mean, there are guys out there that are killing it covering up tribal.
Yeah.
Well,
do we have a cover up?
It's mind blowing.
There's the one.
So this was a representation. So this lady had butterflies that she had put on her body, and at one point in time, they meant a lot to her, and she was very happy with them. And then they got old and aged and faded, and so she wanted to redo it. So I sent her an idea of, hey, this is what we're going to put over the top of your tattoo, and we're going to make it better.
Yeah.
So
now
we made it better.
Like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
I'll work on her again.
So I really don't know what you want to call this.
Like watercolor underneath, and then...
It's watercolor, and it's kind of a neo-traditional style rose. We're going to go back into this one more time. I'll work on her Saturday. That's funny that this tattoo came up. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So these are stages, and I think that's something else people don't really realize is sometimes when you get into tattooing, I mean, it may take you 4 or 5 sessions to get to the end result. So I realize that in this culture and society, we want things now. We want to be happy today. But with cover-ups, it's going to take a while. You have to see how the color, how does it settle? What is it going to look like? Do I have to bump it up again?
Right.
Did I truly cover up the tattoo with the first round? If not, okay, we have to go back into it. No big deal. But you have to be prepared to sit for more sessions other than just one. Now, if it's a smaller tattoo, of course, we can knock those things out. But bigger tattoos like that, no, you're going to have multiple sessions. It's crazy.
So what would you say both before getting a tattoo and after getting a tattoo is like the biggest mistake that people make?
I think budget dictates a lot to people. They feel, okay, I have $100, but I want to get a sleeve.
About that.
The dilemma, right? But what they don't realize is that a lot of artists, we want to do things. So there may be something I've drawn that I'm just really wanting to put on somebody, and I don't care. And so if you're willing to compromise, or maybe it's something that you like, or whatever, go talk to those guys. If you like the guy's work, that's the important part. You have to find the artist that is doing what you need him to do. He's good at what he's doing, but also that you can sit and talk to this guy, and he has a little bit of a personality. He's not just a jerk,
Right.
And at that point, go talk to him and go, hey man, is there anything that you want to do? I want to get this tattoo. This is how much money I have. Can we start?
Like marketing for you.
Right. Well, a lot of times I'll tell somebody, I'll tell you what, I'll do all the outline with what you have today, and then let's work towards getting this thing done. So, at that point you try to go, okay, let's work out a budget for you. If you bring me X amount of dollars, we'll work on you for this much time. Once the outline's done, you can kind of create the tattoo moving forward. I do tell people, don't wait so long. Don't give me, don't wait a year in between sessions, because at that point I'll have to go back into the color that we put on here, black and gray, to bump it up to make it all heal or age the same.
Yeah.
But if you give somebody, a reasonable amount of time, and you come and you're honest with them, I think that's a big thing. For me, I don't want you to try to make me work on a budget and then you pull out a wad of hundreds. Because then I'm thinking, that was awesome. Why did I do that? But if you're honest with the guy, most artists want to tattoo. We really do. And if we can tattoo our own stuff, we can get our own custom things out there, or there's just something that's been rolling around in our head. We want to get on somebody, and you come to me and you go, hey man, this is what I got. I'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
So
let's
do you
do
just
this.
keep like a like your artistic idea? Like you draw them out and just kind of keep them?
So every now and then, I think most artists have ADD.
Yeah.
and so I have an iPad. So on my iPad, I've got tons of sketches where I'll kind of throw down something that's in my head, and then I'll kind of wait for it to come around. So when I'm feeling very creative, I'll pull that stuff back out and I'll work on it. Or, there are times, and I think artists feed on each other, especially with tattoo artists. When you see someone else's work, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. I love that. And so you're going to look at that style and you're going to go, okay, I think I can look at this, I can work off that, but I'm going to give it my own little twist. But every artist is growing off the other guy next to them. If they think they're not, they're lying. No one's biting your style, bro. Okay. If you're doing something cool and someone else is trying to mimic that, that's flattering. That's not theft. You realize that you were, on the forefront of this and you were really killing it in whatever style that you're doing. But that other guy's looking at your work and going, man, I want to rise to that level. Or I want to work off that. And that all makes the entire industry better. If we're all trying to be better at what we're doing, everyone's going to step up the bar, and we're going to have much better artwork. And that's why, I don't think anybody should not be allowed in. This is kind of the hard part, the catch-22. Not everyone is designed to be a tattoo artist, but you don't know until they try. And that's the hard part. There are a lot of guys out there that are marking people's skin that they're just not doing a very good job at it. And could you get better? Obviously you could get better. Could you go to training and seminars? I mean, there are things you can do. Yes, you can go to county colleges and take art theory classes, and you can learn more about art. But it's something that you're going to have to push and you're going to have to excel at. Don't be happy being mediocre doing $20 tattoos. Let's not do that, because you're putting that on someone else's skin and they have to walk around with it.
Right.
Have more respect for your clients. And that's my point. I liken it to maybe a mechanic doing a brake job. If I'm the mechanic doing a brake job and I half-ass your brake job, and then you kill yourself because I didn't put your brakes back on, that's I did that to you. Well, tattoo artists need to take the same responsibility. I'm putting those things on your body. I need to be 1,000% proud of what I've done. Not only for myself, but for that person, so that person doesn't feel bad about their appearance. We have enough body issues going on in the world. We don't need to add tattooing to it,
So then when you're done, one of the things that I didn't realize was the amount of self-care that goes into preserving
the healing
work.
Tattoo.
And healing. And so what does that look like?
So Saniderm is a product that's come out, and it does amazing. There is a drawback. Some people are allergic to the adhesive that sticks the Saniderm to the skin.
Oh, okay.
But there's a low enough number of the people who are allergic to it that I use it all the time. Simply because the body can heal itself better if it's covered and it heals in its own plasma, and it really makes for a better tattoo. And then one, it makes it almost idiot-proof. You can't mess it up. People have put things on their tattoos that will blow your mind. They put everything from cocoa butter to Preparation H to Vaseline to baby oil. The list is long and pretty ridiculous.
And all of those things could do something
awful
different.
Stuff. Think about if you had an open wound. So if you had road rash and you pour baby oil all over your road rash, is it going to help it? No. Or let's slather it in Vaseline. No, that's not going to be good either.
So listen to your tattoo artist.
Listen to your tattoo artist.
Is the takeaway from that? Okay.
Yes. And then, once you leave, the guy does an amazing work, and say you sit for a long session and there's been quite a bit of trauma done to the skin. It's now your responsibility to heal that tattoo. But if there's ever a question, call the guy. Hey, what do I do? And there's no stupid question at that point. I mean, I've answered the same question 1,000 times. I don't care. I'll answer it again. Because I need that to heal well.
That's
you
important.
Need that to heal well.
So
ask. And, it doesn't matter. And I tell people, don't let it go 3 or 4 or 5 days and then call me and go, oh man, I have a problem. You could have stopped that 5 days ago, So
what is the healing process? Like, how long does it typically take?
It depends on the application. So with, heavy color saturation, you have more damage to the skin simply because you poke more holes in it. Okay. So that's going to take a longer time. Other than black and gray. Black and gray doesn't have as much damage to the skin, so it's going to heal a lot faster. And then you have different levels of color. So, it's depending on whether it's going to be solid, traditional style work, or is it going to be traditional where there's a lot of blends? Is it going to be watercolor? I mean, there's different applications, so there's different damage to the skin. And then where is it out on the body? Is it super soft? Is it behind the knee? Is it in the crook of the arm? Is it in the crease of your hip? I mean, all these places are high friction, high movement areas. they're going to take a whole lot longer to heal,
Yeah.
regardless of what you put on them.
Mhm.
And that's something else people don't think. They go, well, I had this tattoo on my arm, I healed in 3 days. Now you tattoo the back of your knee, it's not going to heal in 3 days.
It's not the same, yeah.
Not the same. You know, or if you tattoo the inside of your arm or your armpit, you have glands in your armpit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to take a lot longer to heal, and you're going to have to really, really look after it. If you don't, you're going to have some problems.
Oh.
And I think that's something that people don't realize is, you know, they give it a couple of days and they think, I'm good, I'm going to go swimming, or I'm going to go to the lake, or I'm going to go do whatever, and then I have a problem.
Yeah.
Yes, because you're still healing.
Yeah.
You're still
So
susceptible.
what is, based on your many years of experience, what's the most painful spot to get a tattoo?
Yeah.
For me, like the throat. So when I got my neck done, they didn't even get anywhere close to my throat. And I felt like I was choking and being like, you know, just, it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
And I'm not even, none of this is done.
It's not even
Like it wasn't even
yeah.
close, you know?
Yeah.
That was bad. Armpits are awful. Backs of knees, inner arms. So those are just super, super, super sensitive areas, you
Yeah.
know? A lot of things, I tell people like this. The body is designed with a nerve system to protect you.
Mhm.
If you get your arm cut off, you can live. You'll have less nerves in the surface of your arm. So tattooing on the arm doesn't hurt.
Mhm.
As bad as tattooing on the side or the inner thighs or
Right.
somewhere else where you're super susceptible to injury.
Mhm.
So you'll have more nerve endings so that you won't hurt yourself. Like if you get stuck by a stick, well, let's not do that.
Yeah.
You know? and that's the next thing is when you're getting tattooed, realize this doesn't feel good. And if you're really not prepared, mentally prepared, or you don't really, really want this tattoo or you think you want it,
Mhm.
you're going to give the artist and yourself a horrible day. No one wants to hold you down to tattoo you.
Yeah.
No one wants to fight with you, or every 3 seconds you're jumping and you're moving and you're screaming. And you know, when people get super vocal and they're very twitchy, my nerves are shot and my anxiety goes through the roof because I'm scared that every time I go to make a line, this guy's
They're
going to
gonna
jerk,
jump.
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
he's going to make a noise, and then I'm going to jerk. And so it just makes it a train wreck of a tattoo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I've actually had to stop and like go take a 20-minute meditation session.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
you know, wow.
Recenter.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, reset.
Have
And
you
it's
ever
difficult.
had anything like that happen real bad where it was like a huge mistake and you had to...
I think the part of being an experienced artist is you're going to make mistakes. People are going to move.
Yeah.
You'll be tattooing something and somebody wants to talk with their hands, or there's somebody in the
gosh.
shop and they,
Yeah.
they go, hey, and right in the middle of something that you were doing, and you're like, I have to make that go away now. I have to hide that in a way that you
you
can't
just
see
not
where
even
that
tell
line
them
goes
it.
like this, and it used to be straight, now it has a heartbeat, you know. And I've actually told my clients, listen, this is your tattoo, and so you know I don't have to wear this.
Yeah.
If you would be still, it's going to be great. If you're not,
Mhm. Mhm.
you'll have
we could put
heartbeats for
people under,
lines.
right?
I don't know.
That'd be nice.
I mean, I've had
like
people say
surgery.
that for years. Can I just get some anesthesia? You know, what do they call it?
Right?
It's
Yeah, like
yeah. And just knock me out and
Uh-huh.
tattoo this stuff. And I thought, well, maybe in a great world, but you know how much that tattoo would cost?
Yeah,
If we had
right.
to have one of those guys come in and
Real
put you to
anesthesia.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be tens of thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
There are some things you can do to lessen the pain. Bactine is a great product. And it will just take kind of the bite out of a tattoo. So for longer
You just
sessions.
rub that on your skin and it numbs
So
it
you
a
spray it
little
on,
Spray.
you know, wrap it with some saran wrap, let it sit for 10, 15 minutes, come back, and then you continue working it. And the people will love you for it. Yeah,
That's-
for sure. But I only use that in long sessions.
Mhm.
You know, so many of my clients that I've done longer tattoos on, and I've used that, when I come back and do a small tattoo, they're like, well, why didn't you use the spray, bro? And I'm like, because it's not, I can't
It's not-
use the spray, you know? Not the same thing.
So, okay, like on average, or is there even a difference? Do men and women, like, are one or the other
Women
easier?
are gangsters when it comes to tattoos.
I knew he was going to say
Yeah.
that.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. You ever want to see a grown man cry, go to the tattoo shop. And you'll see quite a few of
Oh
them.
my
Yeah.
Yes.
gosh, that's so
And it's funny because some little teeny bopper 90-pound girl will walk in there and she'll get her entire side piece
Oh.
done, and she'll giggle and laugh and
Oh.
talk through the whole thing, and you're just
Yeah.
like, how are you doing this?
Yes.
I'm vibrating your rib cage as I run this
Oh,
thing, and you're just like,
gosh.
ha 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 ha. And you get some giant guy in there, you know, and he
Yeah.
can't even, like, you get his arm tattooed, and he's just, come on, bro, what are you doing? Like, I'm tattooing you, man, settle down.
What
you
did
know
you
what I mean?
think this
You're
was
gonna
going
be
to
okay.
feel like?
Yeah, wow.
That's hilarious.
That's a fact.
And
Yeah.
then,
That's-
another thing that you've done throughout your career is you've actually
yeah.
trained artists.
Mhm.
So I guess maybe what do you look for before hiring someone or even thinking that somebody might have the potential?
So the two guys that I helped apprentice, a I wanted to make sure that they had artistic ability to begin with. You know, you don't have to be, you know, Rembrandt to come get a tattoo. That's not the point. Can you draw? Okay. And the biggest thing to me is can you design? So now with Procreate and the way that things are moving, and a lot of it's tracing, and it's literally taking photographs and then, you know, putting them into a line drawing and then, you know, reproducing that piece. So artistic ability has to be there, but not to the extent we're not painting, you know, the Sistine Chapel. Like this is not what we're doing. But can you design something?
That's what you're saying.
The technology is really, really increased things. And even before that, a lot of times you would sketch things out and you would, you know, it would have a stack of tracing paper because you're redoing the lines and then tracing it, redoing the lines. You finally get this, you know, final project. So Procreate just eliminates the tracing paper. So you're doing it in layers on a computer as opposed to tracing paper. But people will ask you to do crazy things. They'll be like, well, I want this traditional rose, but I need to have like traditional Japanese waves. But then I want a watercolor background. But could you put some geometrical like print somewhere around this? And you're like, none of that goes together. But now it's my job to make this look cool. So I believe design is outweighing true artistic ability. You know, do you have the ability to draw and can you design artwork? And if not, learn. And then with the body, it's a three-dimensional object. So you're no longer working with a flat piece of paper. You have to make sure that what the design does on the body sits properly. What I always see with portraits, it always makes me laugh, is you draw this beautiful portrait, right? It's great. And then you stick it on somebody's arm, and because of the bend of the arm, you pull their eyeballs apart. And so now they look like fish. So now instead of their eyes being here, their eyes get pushed here because you didn't take into the consideration the curve of the arm. So that goes to where you have to, you know, size the tattoo correctly. You understand it's going to be on a curve. You know, you have to create the image to fit the body. You know, that's why so many artists want the big flat spot on the side of the leg, or they want the big flat spot on the ribs.
Little moving.
You know, or they want a tattoo right here. Why? Because it's flat. You know, when you start to tattoo in places around the shoulder, you know, on the back, depends on how, you know, muscular you are as to what your back looks like. I worked on some guys that laying out the stencil was a nightmare because they had shoulder muscles.
Really?
Yes, like Hans. Hans has got those massive traps.
It's a curse.
So, you know,
it's a curse.
But, you know, and that's something that I think is when you're inexperienced as a tattoo artist, you don't realize that. You draw this really cool piece and you stick it on somebody's arm and you tattoo it and you're, oh, it's awesome. You take a picture of it and you go, oh
no.
He has catfish eyes. Like, oh, now what do I do? You can't go back and erase it.
Fix that.
And it's sad to say, but at that point, that really needs to be a learning lesson in that guy's life. I'll never do this again. You know, hopefully they're taking advantage of that. They're not doing that again, but it's something that people don't think about.
If you mess somebody's tattoo up bad enough, what are the because it's not like you can take it off. Like obviously they probably won't pay you.
Do they sign a waiver or something, or what does that look like?
So you have a release form. And the release form is basically for the state, for the health department. And what that says is if something happens to that person, we can track back the artist who did it at the time and what was put on that person's body. So that way, if the person gets a flower from you, but then they get a wolf from somebody else, and the wolf comes back and it has whatever it has, hepatitis or whatever you want to call it. Like it's just got all the bad stuff in it, right? And they're like, well, you did it. Well, you can go back and go, I did the rose. I didn't do this piece. So it protects you as well. But you know, I've always thought about that. There have been some times where someone's been unhappy with their tattoo, and there's not a lot they can do about it. You can't sue me, okay? Because if you look at the release form, you agreed to rose. Well, I did the rose. Now, if I'm not good at doing the rose and I do a bad rose, it doesn't matter because art is relative. And that's why choosing the correct artist to do your work is paramount. You have got to make sure. Can that guy really do the rose? And I always tell people when you're looking at it through, it used to be, you know, portfolio books would be out in the shop and you'd flip through all the guys' pictures. Now it's pretty much gone to the internet. But I would tell people, look for inconsistencies. If you see like there's some phenomenal artists and then you see some crap art and you go, oh, there's some really good stuff. And then there's some mediocre crap. The mediocre crap is probably his and the really good stuff is probably sold for somebody else. It just happens. I mean, I've had my portfolio stolen I don't know how many times out of shops. You turn your back, somebody walks in, they're browsing, they stick it under the shirt and they walk off with it, and then they use it as their own.
Oh my gosh.
I'm glad we don't have photographs like that anymore because you can't. It's difficult to steal my stuff off my site because I can go, hey, that's my stuff. You know,
that's my Instagram.
Put your face next to all your tattoos.
But it's difficult, you know, and I always say it's such an intimate, you know, relationship between the artist and the client. So first of all, we're going to sit and talk to each other for a long time. Make sure the conversation is good. You know, I would hate to sit through a long session with somebody that just stuck their earphones on and ignored me and acted like I didn't exist. There are a few artists that work well that way. They put their headphones on, they really want to get into the piece, and they do their thing. But for me, that would drive me crazy. If I couldn't have any interaction with that guy and I got to sit there for that long, I'm like, okay, this is fun. Yay.
Yeah.
First of all, you're hurting me. And now I'm bored to death.
Yeah,
so now all I'm
Right.
thinking about is the fact that you're hurting me, and it's a bad
A
thing.
distraction almost.
So make sure that the guy that you're getting tattooed by is what you want. And then he's qualified to do what you're asking him to do. You know, don't go to a portrait artist and give him an infinity symbol and go, dude, your work is so good. Will you do this?
Yeah.
No, I won't.
Yeah.
There's a place for that. There's a guy that's going to do that really well. But, you know, make sure that the art that you're trying to get tattooed on your body, the artist
Matches
does well.
his.
Yeah.
Are there any tattoos that you won't do? Like,
So I will
Names.
not do any kind of hate tattoos. I don't care what genre they come from or what. I won't do any of that stuff. No gang related, none of that
See, he's a big teddy bear, guys.
stuff. Big teddy bear. This is a fact.
this is a fact.
Yeah.
There's, you know,
What about
things
like if a guy comes in and wants to get his girlfriend's name or any of that kind of stuff? Like, are you?
well, I laugh and then I ask him to make it bigger because the cover up on that is going to be huge.
Yeah.
You know, when I first got into this, I would try to talk people out of their tattoos. But then I came to the realization, like, look, dude, these people are grown.
You don't know what
They're
they
making their own
feel
choices.
and-
It's not
Yeah.
my responsibility to make sure that you didn't mess your stuff up.
Yeah.
You
Right.
did that.
Yeah.
So I'll give people kind of the speech. Hey, it's kind of a proven fact that if you get someone else's name tattooed on your body, your relationship is doomed. I mean, in my very short career, yes, I've tattooed a lot of cover-ups over names. A month later, 6 months later,
Right.
it's just it's strange. It's very strange. You'll put somebody's name on them today. 2 weeks later, they're calling you. Hey, so is it too early to cover that up? Because
How
she
soon
cheated on
can
me, or
I?
whatever the situation might be. And you're like, yeah, give it a couple of weeks and come
Yeah.
in, and we'll make it work.
What's the funny? Have you ever done like a hilarious funny one?
I did a Coors Light can with a mullet and 80s style sunglasses on the other day
On the can?
on the can.
That's
And
fantastic.
it had been done prior, and so I switched it up a little bit. We did it
Yeah.
again, but
That's funny.
when the guy came to me, I kind of laughed, and we were doing this, via text message and email.
Yeah.
And so then when he showed up, I was like, oh, this
you're
is the
serious.
most fitting tattoo you could ever
Yes.
get.
That's
He had the mullet. Yes, he
Yes.
was white trash wonderful. I'm not saying that in a bad
Love
way.
it. Yeah.
He was amazing. Yes.
That's so
He's
Babe,
still-
I know what I want.
No,
for
no,
my
no,
tattoo.
no.
Nothing
Miller
says I'm a
Lite
really
can.
good realtor like a
You?
Coors Light can with a mullet on it.
Oh, that's not happening. Not
Yeah, that was
happening.
a pretty funny
You can't
one.
get a tattoo without my
Yes, ma'am.
written
That's fair.
consent.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Okay.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so our signature question, if you
Yep.
will, is when people find out we're in real estate, they're always wanting to know how the market is. So when people find out that you're a tattoo artist, what's the question that you always get?
I think price dictates a lot.
Yeah.
How much would it be if?
That's what I thought.
There's such a so each artist dictates his own price. I mean, you could pay as much as $500 an hour. You could pay as little as $50 an hour. I mean, it depends on what you're doing. But then again, the old saying goes back that you get what you pay for. So again, if this guy's charging you $500 an hour, he better damn well be worth $500 an hour. But other than that, people know what they want to get. I mean, I've tattooed literally everything but I think somebody's eyelids and their tongue. I've honestly tattooed everything else.
Yeah.
I've done some pretty crazy tattoos in my life. Some that I thought were going to be a great idea until you get into them and you think, this is not cool. This is not cool. 3 seconds in, you're like, this is a horrible idea,
Nope.
dude.
Hard pass.
Don't agree to tattoos while drinking. That's a bad idea. Don't go to the bar and go, I'll do your tattoo for you.
sounds
Yeah,
awesome.
no, don't do that. It's bad.
Okay. Good to know.
But I think budget is the biggest question. Someone asks, I want to get a tattoo. How much is it going to cost? And my stock answer to that is, I want to go grocery shopping and buy groceries. How much is it going to cost?
Oh, that's so good.
It depends on what you
Yeah.
put in the bag, right? If I filled up my bag with prime rib, it's going to be way more than if I filled up my bag with ramen noodles.
Right.
Same bag of groceries, same size, but different things inside of it. So I always tell people, man, talk to your guy, talk to your artist, see what they're gonna do. I mean, I've wavered from my hourly price. I'm like, well, I want to do that. That's not going to be a big deal. Or recently, I had a client of mine pass away, which it's heartbreaking. I tattooed him on December 23rd, and he passed away December 25th. And
Brutal.
so I'm now tattooing his family, and
With
it's
pieces of his
with
work
pieces
that
of
he
his
did,
tattoo work.
right?
That's
Oh,
and it's crushing me because I don't want to charge them. because
Yeah.
I had grown emotional attachment to this guy because I tattooed so much of his body. He was a great kid. And so his family is now hurting, and they're trying to heal themselves, and they're looking for another way to hold on to him and his memory.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say, tell people, tattooing is not like any other business. You know,
I
it's
bet
if
it
I'm
is
running a
lot of
tattoo or if I'm running a
emotional
t-shirt company, then the shirt costs this, the print costs this. So
Yeah,
this is what you're gonna.
Yeah.
When it comes to tattooing, there's so much of an emotional attachment.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done tattoos for free. I had a guy in the shop years ago. He almost got thrown out. He was being very weird. He had a very weird look on his face.
Really?
He was pacing around. He was making people uncomfortable. And so I went out to confront him, and he said, I want to get a memorial tattoo. And I was like, cool, no problem. We can do that. So we're running him through some ideas. He wanted to get a cross with some wings. Cool deal. He wanted to put a date on it. He tells me the date. I look at the date, and I was like, are you sure you got the dates right? This is only 2 years apart, you know?
No.
And he said, yeah, I just buried my dog.
No,
Oh my gosh.
No.
So his tattoo was free. Because at that point, I'm crying.
Yeah.
I
He's
know.
crying.
Yeah. Oh,
And I'm like,
man.
I can't charge you. You're
Yeah.
crushed as a man. I'm not going
Goodness.
to charge you for that tattoo.
Yeah.
And some people may think I'm a fool. I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that. I mean, this is where tattooing goes way beyond just money.
Yeah.
And I think that we don't realize as artists how important we are to someone else's life. And
Yeah. You're forever.
with Brad, who passed away, you don't realize how important I was to him, because to me, he was a client. We had a great time. We kicked around. We had a good time tattooing. But to his family, he talked about me constantly.
Yeah.
His tattoos were such a huge part of his life, and you don't realize that
They kinda
until
define
you
you.
get to kind of see the other side
You
of
have
it.
enough
Yeah.
of them.
And that's a wake up call. As artists, you have to realize that you're emotionally affecting these people long term,
Forever, yeah.
good or bad.
Yeah.
They could have a great experience with you. They could have a horrible experience with you. You're going to mark those people's lives for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's such a responsibility as an artist that you have to really care about the work you're doing and the people you're doing it on, because you do have a giant impact on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, more so than I actually want. I don't really want the responsibility of that. It's scary, but
Picked a forever job.
yeah. And so I feel like I've become friends with most of my clients.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
do.
That's cool.
Yeah, we do that too. And I mean, like, a home isn't really forever, but we have that sort of emotional connection
sure.
with ours too. So I can't
It's
imagine
huge
yours
buying
is
a home. Yeah.
Yeah.
so much more.
Yeah. I mean, the impact on our end is it's obviously a large financial purchase. The
Yeah.
impact on your end is that it's a permanent purchase.
Yeah.
So,
Permanent purchase,
yeah.
yes.
Unless they cover
that's-
it
There cannot
Yeah.
be any buyer's
Or buy
remorse
a
on this
second
thing.
Right.
home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Get a cover up, get a second home.
Uh,
I'm trying, guys.
So
We're basic.
totally, cover-ups
Tattoo artists, that's what I'm
and second
saying.
homes are very
So
important.
Tattoos
Yeah.
and real estate, ladies and
Tattoos and real
gentlemen.
estate. Yeah.
All right, Michael.
Yeah.
You're amazing. Thank you
Yes.
so
Thank you.
much for coming on. This
I'm
was
so glad
fun.
you had me. This
so
is awesome.
Fun, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, he does great work. You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you're
man.
welcome.
Yeah.
That's okay, so somebody out there is watching and they're like, okay, this is the guy.
Okay.
How do they get in touch with you? What's the process?
So the easiest way to get a hold of me and actually look at what I've done is you can get a hold of my Instagram, and from that you can see that I tattoo a wide variety of stuff. I really don't have a particular style. I love tattooing everything. My number's up there. You can text me, DM me, however you want to get a hold of me. I don't care. And then from there, we're going to set up an appointment. I usually ask people to send me references of ideas. Tell me what you're thinking about. Sure. And I need to know the direction. And the biggest part is style. You can do an image 100 ways.
Right.
So I need to kind of get all that down into, you want to do it like this. You want to do it in line work or whatever it may be. And then, okay, so color work is next, and then size. And then, from there, we'll set the appointment up. I'll give you a guesstimation of time, and then off we go.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yay.
Nice.
Very
Very exciting.
All right, well, guys, Michael Spades.
Michael Spades.
And then again, as always, if you have real estate questions, we are at hi@threevinegroup.com. All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.